The living room fell silent when my son pointed his finger at me. His face was red with anger. The veins on his neck bulged like they might burst. "Mom," he shouted, "you need to leave my house right now. Get out." Before we proceed, thank you for watching Granny's narrative. Please subscribe and tell us where you are watching from in the comment section. I stood there frozen. My legs felt weak. My heart pounded so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Around me sat my daughter-in-law Rebecca, her mother Mrs. Catherine, and Rebecca's two sisters. They all stared at me like I was a criminal, like I had done something terrible. Rebecca sat on the sofa I had helped them buy 3 years ago. She was crying. Her shoulders shook with each sob. But when she looked up at me for just 1 second, I saw something in her eyes. It was not sadness. It was victory. She was smiling behind those tears. A small smile that only I could see. "My name is Margaret. I am 67 years old. For the past 28 years, I worked as a seamstress making clothes for people in my neighborhood. My fingers are scarred from needle pricks. My back is bent from sitting at my old sewing machine for hours every day. My eyes are weak from working under dim light in my tiny apartment. Everything I did was for one person, my son Daniel. But standing in that living room, feeling everyone's eyes burning into my skin, I realized something. All those years of sacrifice meant nothing to him. Not anymore. Mrs. Catherine, Rebecca's mother, had just accused me of stealing her diamond earrings. She said they were worth $8,000. Family heirlooms passed down from her grandmother. And Rebecca, my sweet daughter-in-law who I once loved like my own daughter, claimed she found those earrings in my handbag. Right there. In front of everyone. Daniel stood beside his wife. His face was twisted with anger and confusion. This was the same boy I held when he had nightmares as a child. The same boy I nursed back to health when he broke his leg at age 10. The same boy I worked 3 jobs to put through college. Now he was screaming at me to get out of his house. "Mom," he said again, his voice shaking, "apologize to Catherine right now or leave. I will not have a thief in my home." The word thief cut through me like a knife. I looked at my son's face. I searched for any sign of the boy I raised, any hint of love or trust. But all I saw was a stranger. A man who believed I could steal from his wife's family. Catherine sat on the armchair clutching her chest like she was having a heart attack. But her eyes sparkled with satisfaction. She was enjoying this. Rebecca's sisters stood by the window whispering to each other. And Rebecca, she sat there with tears running down her face. But I saw that smile again. That tiny victorious smile at the corner of her mouth. In that moment everything became clear to me. This was a setup. Trap. 3 days earlier, Rebecca had thrown a birthday party at their house. She insisted I come early to help with preparations. She asked me to bring my black leather handbag into the living room. Then, right before the guests arrived, she sent everyone outside to the garden to check on the decorations. She said she needed a few minutes alone to fix her makeup. That was when she did it. That was when she planted those earrings in my bag. I took a deep breath. My knees were shaking, but I refused to fall down in front of these people. I reached for my handbag on the coffee table. The same bag Rebecca had searched through just moments before. The same bag where she claimed to find the stolen earrings. I looked straight at Rebecca. She still had tears on her cheeks. But I saw the truth in her eyes. Those eyes that once looked at me with respect now showed only coldness. She had never truly loved me. I was just an obstacle in her perfect life. Something to be removed. The air in the room felt heavy. Like it was pressing down on my chest. Daniel was waiting for me to beg for forgiveness. Catherine adjusted her necklace, eager to see me humiliated. Rebecca's sisters watched like this was some kind of entertainment. I opened my mouth and spoke 3 words. Slowly, clearly. Each word was a promise. "You will regret this." I did not shout. I did not cry. My voice was calm but cold as ice. Rebecca's smile disappeared instantly. Her face went pale. I turned and walked toward the door. Daniel stood frozen. Maybe he expected me to break down and cry. Maybe he thought I would beg him to believe me. But I had lived 67 years. I learned long ago that dignity is more important than comfort from people who do not respect you. I left that apartment. The same apartment I had bought for him with my life savings. I closed the door behind me quietly. I did not take the elevator. I walked down 4 flights of stairs. I needed time before anyone saw me cry. On the bus heading home, gripping the metal pole as my legs trembled, the tears finally came. Hot and heavy, they streamed down my face. An old man sitting across from me asked if I was okay. I nodded and lied. I said I was fine. But I was not fine. It felt like someone had ripped my heart out of my chest. Not just because of the humiliation, but because of Daniel's choice. My own son chose to believe her lies over his mother's truth. He threw me out of the house I had bought for him with my own hands. As the bus rolled through the streets, something fierce grew inside me. It was not just pain. It was anger. A burning fire that had been sleeping for years. I whispered to myself in that empty bus seat. I would not let this stand. I would not let that woman destroy me without a fight. I did not know it yet, but in just 2 weeks, Daniel would be standing at my door. Desperate. Broken. Begging for my help. And when that day came, it would be my turn to say those same 3 words back to him. If you want to know how everything turned around, stay with me. Because this is only the beginning. And the ending will shock you. You might be wondering how a mother could be pushed this far. How a son could turn against the woman who gave him life. To understand that kind of betrayal, you need to understand what came before it. You need to know about the sacrifices. It all started in 1998. Daniel was 11 years old when my husband Robert died. It happened on a Tuesday morning. Robert was drinking his coffee and reading the newspaper. Suddenly he grabbed his chest and fell to the floor. Heart attack. He was only 44 years old. I remember the funeral like it was yesterday. Daniel clung to my dress crying so hard he could barely breathe. I had to stay strong for both of us. Even though inside I was dying too. I was not just a widow. I was a widow with a child to raise. No job. No insurance money. Just an old sewing machine and $2,000 in our savings account. At first the neighbors helped. They brought food and said kind things. Everything will be okay. God has a plan. Time heals all wounds. But when the rent came due the next month, it was just me and Daniel against the world. I started sewing professionally. Before Robert died, I only sewed for fun. Making dresses for myself or fixing torn clothes for neighbors. Now it had to become my income. My livelihood. I used the little money we had left to buy fabric and thread. I put up signs at the local church and the hair salon. I left my phone number everywhere. The first dress I made for money was for Mrs. Henderson's daughter. A simple blue dress for a school dance. She paid me $150. When I held that money in my hand, I cried. It was the first money I had earned on my own. Daniel grew up with the sound of my sewing machine humming every morning. The click 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 of the needle. The whir of the wheel. He did his homework at the kitchen table while I worked late into the night. He never complained. Not once. He even helped me deliver finished orders on weekends. Every time he hugged me goodnight, he would say the same thing. Mom, when I grow up, I will buy you a big house. You will never have to work this hard again. Promise. Those words kept me going. They gave me strength when I wanted to give up. When Daniel was 16, he got accepted into a good university to study civil engineering. The tuition was expensive. Very expensive. Even with me cutting every possible cost, I could not afford it. So I started taking on bigger jobs. Wedding dresses. Evening gowns. Bridesmaid outfits. Wedding dresses paid more, but they were exhausting work. So much detail. So many hours. I charged $180 for my first wedding gown. The bride loved it so much she told 3 of her friends about me. Soon I had more orders than I could handle. I worked until midnight every night. Slept for 4 hours. Then started again at 5 in the morning. My eyes burned from the strain. My fingers bled from needle pricks. My back ached constantly. But I kept going. For Daniel. 5 years later, Daniel graduated from university. I had paid every single cent of his tuition. $165,000 total. I kept all the receipts in a folder. Every invoice. Every payment record. I saved them all. The day Daniel got his diploma was the happiest day of my life. I cried tears of joy. I thought all my sacrifice had finally paid off. My son had a degree. He had a future. That was all that mattered to me. Daniel found a job as a civil engineer earning $3,000 a month. Not a lot, but it was a start. He still lived with me in our small one-bedroom apartment. We shared the space. He took the bedroom and I slept on the pull-out sofa in the living room. Every month Daniel gave me $700 to help with rent and food. I took it, but I secretly saved half of it for him. I wanted him to have something when he was ready to move out. To start his own life. 2 years after graduation, Daniel met Rebecca. She worked as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Pretty girl. Long brown hair. Soft voice. Always smiling. When Daniel first brought her home to meet me, I was so happy I cried. I thought my son had found someone good. Someone kind. They dated for 3 years. During that time I tried my best to build a relationship with Rebecca. I invited her to lunch every Sunday. I taught her how to cook Daniel's favorite meals. Roast chicken with potatoes. Beef stew. Chocolate cake. I even gave her a pair of my silver earrings that Robert had given me years ago. Rebecca was sweet to me. She called me Mom Margaret. She said she had never met a mother-in-law so loving. She hugged me often. She brought me flowers. She seemed perfect. In 2009, Daniel told me he wanted to marry Rebecca. But they had a problem. No money for a wedding. Daniel was earning $4,200 a month by then. Rebecca made about $2,500. They had just bought a used car on a payment plan. They had no savings left. I had been saving money for years. Every extra dollar went into my savings account. By 2009, I had $115,000 saved. It was supposed to be my retirement fund. Money for when I got too old to sew anymore. But when Daniel asked for help with the wedding, I did not think twice. I spent $58,000 on their wedding. Paid for everything. The venue. The food. The flowers. The music. The photographer. Everything. I even sewed Rebecca's wedding dress myself. She chose expensive white silk fabric that cost $800. I spent 2 weeks making that dress. Every stitch was done by hand. Every detail was perfect. The wedding was beautiful. 150 guests at a nice hotel ballroom. Everyone said it was the best wedding they had ever been to. Rebecca cried when she saw it all come together. She hugged me tight and whispered in my ear, "Thank you, Mom Margaret. I will never forget what you have done for us. I love you so much." I believed her. I truly believed her. But the biggest sacrifice was still to come. 5 years after the wedding, Daniel got promoted at work. He started earning $8,200 a month. Good money. Around the same time, Rebecca quit her job. She said she wanted to focus on their home. She wanted to prepare for having a baby someday. She wanted to be a good wife. Daniel agreed. He said one income was enough for them. They were renting a small 2-bedroom apartment at the time. The rent was $1,800 a month. Daniel often complained about it. He said paying rent was like throwing money away. He wanted to own a home, build equity, have something that was truly his. By then I had saved more money. Much more. Over the years of making wedding dresses and taking rush orders, I had managed to save $305,000. It was my entire life savings. The result of 28 years of hard work. I was 59 years old. My arthritis was getting worse. My eyesight was failing. I could not sew as much as before. I knew I needed that money for my future. For medical bills. For rent. For food. But when Daniel found a new 2-bedroom condo for sale at $305,000, I made a decision. I bought it for him. I put the entire amount down. Every single dollar I had saved. I signed the property over to his name. Daniel cried when I told him. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Mom, he said, I do not deserve you. I promise I will take care of you forever. You will always have a home with us. Rebecca cried too. She kissed my cheek and said the condo was not just Daniel's home. It was mine too. She said I would always have my own room there. That I was family. But I did not move in with them. I stayed in my old rented apartment. The same small place I had lived in for 20 years. 1 bedroom. Tiny kitchen. Bathroom with old tiles. Rent was $850 a month. Daniel begged me to move in. He said there was plenty of space. But I refused. I told him newlyweds need privacy. They need their own space to build their life together. The truth was I did not want to be a burden. I did not want to get in the way. I kept sewing but at a slower pace. My body could not handle long hours anymore. I took maybe 3 or 4 orders a month. That gave me about $1,800. Enough for rent, medicine, and food. I was content. My son had a home, wife, a good career. I thought I had done everything right as a mother. I thought my job was complete. But I had no idea that every dollar I spent, every sleepless night I worked, every sacrifice I made, would one day mean nothing. It would all be forgotten, trampled on, thrown back in my face by the very woman I had welcomed into our family. The first 3 years after Daniel and Rebecca moved into the condo seemed peaceful. At least on the surface. Every Sunday I visited for lunch. I brought dessert. Sometimes apple pie. Sometimes lemon cake. Rebecca always greeted me warmly at the door. She pulled me into the kitchen to ask for cooking advice. How to make gravy smooth. How to keep rice fluffy. It all seemed genuine. Real. Daniel worked hard at his job. He left early every morning and came home tired every evening. Rebecca had dinner ready for him. The house was always clean. She dressed nicely even though she stayed home all day. Daniel looked at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. I thanked God for sending her to my son. I truly did. But by 2016 something changed. Daniel got promoted again. This time to senior project manager. His salary jumped to $16,500 a month. More money than I had ever seen in my entire life. And almost overnight, Rebecca became a different person. The first thing that changed was how she dressed. Suddenly she only wore expensive designer clothes. Leather handbags that cost more than my monthly rent. Shoes imported from Italy. Dresses with fancy labels I could not even pronounce. Her hair was no longer done at the cheap salon down the street. Now she went to an upscale place downtown every 2 weeks. Her nails were always perfect. Shiny and painted. Her makeup looked professional. Her perfume was so strong you could smell it from across the room. I did not judge. It was their money. They could spend it however they wanted. But along with the new look came a new attitude toward me. One Sunday I arrived for lunch wearing a floral dress I had sewn myself. It was not fancy but it was clean and neat. When I walked in, Rebecca looked me up and down. Then she frowned. "Ma Margaret," she said, "do you not think that dress is a bit old-fashioned? We have guests coming today." Since when was I just a guest in their home? I stood there holding my apple pie, feeling suddenly ashamed. Daniel was in the other room setting the table. He did not hear what she said. Rebecca smiled sweetly and added, "My mother Catherine is joining us for lunch today. You know how she is. Very particular about appearances." I nodded slowly. Felt small. Out of place. Like I did not belong in the home I had bought for them. Half an hour later, Catherine arrived. She was 61 years old. Short. Hair dyed blonde. Designer clothes from head to toe. She greeted me with 2 quick air kisses. Then she walked past me and sat at the head of the dining table. The seat where I usually sat. During lunch, Rebecca and Catherine talked about things I knew nothing about. Their upcoming trip to Las Vegas. A new restaurant in the city that served fancy French food. A spa weekend that cost $900 per night. Daniel listened quietly. He smiled proudly. Happy that he could provide that lifestyle for his wife. I sat there eating in silence. Feeling invisible. At one point I mentioned that I had just finished sewing a wedding dress for a young woman in my building. Rebecca laughed. A short, mocking laugh. "Mom Margaret," she said, "could you please not talk about sewing today? It is a little embarrassing." Embarrassing? The work I had done for 28 years to raise her husband was embarrassing to her. Daniel looked down at his plate and said nothing. That was the day I realized I was no longer welcome. Not really. I was tolerated, but not wanted. The visits became less frequent after that. Daniel always had an excuse. They were busy. Rebecca was not feeling well. They had plans with friends. Every reason sounded reasonable. But the result was always the same. I was being pushed out. When I did visit, I could feel the tension. Rebecca would sigh when I spoke. Catherine would give me fake smiles. And Daniel, he was blind to all of it. He saw his beautiful wife and his happy life. He did not see his mother being slowly erased. One time I decided to surprise them. I made pumpkin bread, Daniel's favorite since he was a boy. I rang the doorbell, excited to see his face. But no one answered. I peeked through the window. Inside I saw them sitting at the dining table. Daniel, Rebecca, Catherine. They were eating lunch together, laughing. The table was set with the nice dishes I had given them as a wedding gift. Fresh flowers in a vase. Wine glasses. Candles. They looked like a perfect happy family. Without me. I stood outside that door with tears running down my face. Then I turned around and went home. I put the pumpkin bread in my fridge and cried until my head hurt. Rebecca's comments grew sharper over time. Little insults disguised as concern. "Mom Margaret, have you thought about dyeing your hair? All that gray makes you look so much older. Or those shoes look like you bought them at a thrift store. Very outdated." Once she whispered to Daniel when she thought I could not hear. "Your mother really should do something about her teeth. They're so yellow." Each comment was like a small cut. Not deep enough to bleed, but painful enough to sting. And over time those small cuts added up. I started believing what she said. Felt ugly. Useless. I stopped bringing homemade desserts because Rebecca said store-bought ones looked nicer. I spent money I did not have buying a new blouse because she said my old clothes were embarrassing. I even tried dyeing my hair at home and ended up with orange streaks. Rebecca saw my hair and smirked. "Oh, Mom Margaret, what happened? You should have gone to a professional salon. Mine charges $380, but it is so worth it." $380. That was half my rent. Daniel started calling me less and less. Our conversations became short and cold. When I asked how he was doing, he just said, "I am fine, Mom. Been busy with work." No stories. No warmth. Nothing. Felt like there was a wall between us. A wall I could not break through no matter how hard I tried. I tried talking to Daniel about it. I called him one Saturday afternoon and asked if we could meet for coffee. Just the two of us. He agreed. We met at a small cafe near his condo. When I arrived, he was already there staring at his phone. He kissed my cheek quickly and sat down. "Son," I feel like we are drifting apart. Like I am losing you. Did I do something wrong?" Daniel sighed. That deep, tired sigh of someone who does not want to have this conversation. "Mom, you are overthinking. I'm just busy with work. Rebecca has her own routine. We have our own life now. But that does not mean I do not love you." "But sweetheart," I said, my voice shaking, "I barely see you anymore. And every time I visit, I feel like Rebecca does not want me there." He cut me off. "Mom, come on. Rebecca adores you. She always says nice things about you. The problem is you sometimes say things that make her uncomfortable. You bring up old stories or you comment on her choices. You need to respect boundaries." Froze. I had never criticized Rebecca. Never interfered in their decisions. But somehow she had made Daniel believe that I did. I tried to explain. "Son, I never meant to." But Daniel looked at his watch. "Mom, I have to go. Rebecca is waiting for me. We have dinner reservations." He paid for his coffee, hugged me quickly, and left. I sat there alone for almost an hour, staring at my empty cup, trying to figure out where I went wrong. When did I lose my son? The truth was I had not lost him. He had been taken from me. slowly, carefully, by a woman who smiled sweetly while destroying everything I had built. And I had no idea how much worse it was about to get. For the next 8 months, I barely existed in Daniel's life. The phone calls stopped. The Sunday lunches disappeared. I woke up every weekend hoping he would call and say, "Mom, come visit us." But the call never came. When I called him, there was always a reason why I could not visit. "We are going out today. Rebecca is tired. We have plans with coworkers." Eventually I stopped calling. Because even pride has its limits. At some point you realize your presence makes others uncomfortable. And the only way to keep your dignity is to step back. But the worst part was not his absence. It was watching him replace me. One Thursday afternoon I decided to walk past their building. I did not plan to knock on the door. I just wanted to stand across the street and feel close to him for a moment. When I got there I saw Daniel's car in the parking garage. Strange. He usually worked until 7. I stood on the corner trying to decide if I should go up. Then the building door opened. Daniel walked out carrying shopping bags. Beside him was Rebecca arm in arm with her mother Catherine. They were all laughing together. Happy. Like a perfect family. My chest tightened. Daniel had taken time off work to go shopping with his mother-in-law. But he never had time for me. I went home on the bus with tears streaming down my face. Teenage girl offered me a tissue. I smiled and said I had allergies. But inside I was breaking into pieces. My son was forgetting me. Worse, he was replacing me with another mother. Social media made everything worse. I was not very active online, but I created a Facebook account just to see photos of Daniel. What I found there broke my heart even more. Photo after photo of their happy life. Daniel and Rebecca at fancy restaurants. Daniel and Catherine at a baseball game. Rebecca's birthday party with Catherine cutting the cake like she was the queen of the family. In one photo Daniel had his arm around Catherine. The caption said, "So grateful for an amazing second mom." Second mom. While the first one was being erased. I left a comment. "Beautiful picture, son. Miss you." Rebecca replied for him. "Hi Mom Margaret. We miss you too. You should visit more often. Visit more often." As if I had not been trying. As if every attempt had not been shut down. Daniel never replied to my comment himself. That was when I understood. This was not an accident. It was intentional. Rebecca was removing me from Daniel's life. Slowly, skillfully. She never told me to stay away. She just made me feel so unwelcome that I removed myself. And Daniel believed that I was the one choosing to stay away. Rebecca probably told him things like, "Your mother is enjoying her independence now. Let her live her life. It is good for her." Enjoying my independence. At 66 years old. Living alone in a tiny apartment. Eating dinner by myself every night. That was not independence. That was loneliness. I tried one more time. In February the weather was freezing cold. Called Daniel. "Sweetheart," I said, "it has been so long since we talked. Can we meet for coffee? Just the two of us." Silence on the other end. "Mom, I am really busy with work right now. Just 1 hour," I pleaded. "I just want to see you. Rebecca and I already have plans today. Maybe next time. I will check my schedule and call you back." He never called back. That night I lay in my narrow bed listening to my neighbors talking through the thin walls. And I cried. I cried for 28 years of work. For sleepless nights. For $305,000 given without hesitation. I cried for the boy who once said I was the best mom in the world. Because that boy no longer existed. Now there was only a stranger. A man who treated his mother like a burden. Like something to be dealt with later. Or never. Rebecca had done her job perfectly. She erased me quietly. No fights. No drama. Just the slow, steady fading of my existence. Daniel was blind. Drunk on his wealthy lifestyle and his perfect wife. He did not realize he was losing his mother. Or maybe he did realize and he did not care. Maybe I was only useful when he needed me. When he was poor. When he needed tuition money. A wedding. House. Now I was just an embarrassing reminder of his humble past. something that did not fit into his new life. I was the piece of his history he wanted to forget. And Rebecca knew it. She used it against me. 3 months after that last phone call, I received a text message from Rebecca. It was a birthday party invitation. Beautifully designed. Pink flowers and gold letters. The message said, "Your presence means the world to us." My heart jumped. Maybe things were getting better. Maybe they missed me after all. I bought a gift for Rebecca. Crystal jewelry box. Cost me $115. Money I really did not have. But I did not care. It was a chance to reconnect with my son. The party was on a Saturday afternoon. When I arrived, there were at least 35 people there. Daniel's co-workers. Rebecca's friends. Family members I had never met. And of course Catherine. Everyone greeted me politely. But coldly. Like I was just another guest. Rebecca hugged me quickly. Thanked me for the gift without even opening it. Then she walked away to greet someone more important. Daniel stood by the food table laughing with his friends. He barely glanced at me. I stood there holding a glass of juice. Completely invisible. A woman approached me. "Are you Rebecca's aunt?" Smiled. "Oh, I am her mother-in-law." "Oh," she said awkwardly. Then she quickly walked away. I stayed at that party for 3 hours. Surrounded by people but completely alone. I watched Catherine being pampered. Daniel brought her food. Rebecca took 100 photos with her mother. They laughed together like they had known each other forever. Me. I was just another piece of furniture in the room. When evening came, fireworks started outside. Everyone rushed to the balcony to watch. Rebecca turned to me with a sweet smile. "Ma Margaret, could you stay inside and watch our things? Just in case someone walks in. You do not mind, right?" He nodded. What else could I say? Everyone went outside. I stayed alone in that empty living room listening to their laughter and cheers through the window. In that moment, standing in the home I had bought for my son, I understood something clearly. I was no longer family. I was the help. I left that night feeling hollow inside. Discarded. But I did not know that the party was not just another insult. It was part of a bigger plan. A trap that was about to destroy me completely. 4 days after the party, my phone rang on a Tuesday morning. It was Rebecca. Her voice was shaking, crying. "Ma Margaret, are you there?" My heart raced. "Yes, sweetheart. What happened? Is Daniel okay?" "It is not Daniel," she sobbed. "'Tis me. Something terrible happened. I did not want to worry Daniel yet. But I need to tell someone." "Tell me," I said. "What is going on?" She sniffled loudly. "My mother's diamond earrings. They are gone. The ones she gave me before my grandmother died. They are the only thing I have left from her. And now they are missing." I did not understand why she was telling me this. But I tried to comfort her. "Calm down, Rebecca. Have you looked everywhere? Maybe you just misplaced them." "I have searched the entire house," she said. "They are nowhere. They were always kept in a velvet box in my dresser drawer. And now the box is empty. Think someone took them." Chill ran through me. "You think someone stole them?" "I do not want to believe it," she said. "But those earrings were appraised at $8,000. Real diamonds. My grandmother bought them in 1955. And now they are gone. There were so many people at my birthday party. Strangers. People I barely knew. You should call the police," I said. "No," Rebecca said quickly. "I would be too embarrassed. Daniel would be upset. His co-workers would gossip. I just want them to turn up. Maybe whoever took them will have a conscience and return them." She cried some more and then hung up. I sat there feeling uneasy. Something felt wrong. But I pushed the feeling away. "Jennifer, do not be paranoid. The girl lost something precious from her grandmother. Course she is upset." 5 days passed. Rebecca kept texting me about the missing earrings. She said she could not sleep. That she felt violated. That she kept wondering who could have taken them. One message said, "Ma Margaret, I keep thinking about everyone who was at the party. There were so many people walking around. Someone must have gone into my bedroom." Then on Saturday morning Daniel called me. His voice was serious. Formal. "Mom, can you come over for lunch today? Rebecca really wants you here." My heart leaped. It had been 2 months since they invited me to anything. "Course, sweetheart. What time?" "Noon. See you then." I arrived 10 minutes early. I wore my best dress. I even put on lipstick. I was so happy to be included again. Rebecca opened the door with a big smile. She hugged me tightly. "Hi, Mom Margaret. Come in. Let me take your bag." "It is okay, dear," I said. "I will just put it on the chair." No, Rebecca insisted. "Let me put it in the bedroom so it is safe and out of the way." I thought that was odd, but I handed her my black leather handbag anyway. She took it and disappeared down the hallway. She came back a minute later looking calm. "Lunch is ready," she said cheerfully. The dining table was set beautifully. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, salad, fresh bread. Daniel was putting out plates. Catherine was already sitting at the head of the table, looking regal as always. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Margaret," Catherine said coldly. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Catherine," I replied quietly. The atmosphere felt strange. Heavy. Daniel barely spoke. Rebecca seemed nervous. Catherine kept staring at me with a strange expression. I tried to make conversation several times, but every topic died quickly. Then, as we were finishing the meal, Rebecca's 2 sisters arrived, Emma and Sarah. I had only met them once before at the wedding. They walked in looking uncomfortable. "Sorry we are late," Emma said. I was surprised. Daniel had not mentioned anyone else coming. Then Rebecca stood up. Her face went pale. Her hands were shaking. "Everyone," she said, "I need to say something." All eyes turned to her. My heart started pounding. "I was not planning to do this today," Rebecca continued. "But I cannot take it anymore. You all know my grandmother's diamond earrings are missing, right?" Daniel frowned. "Missing? What are you talking about, Rebecca? You never told me." "I did not want to worry you," she said. Her voice cracked. "The earrings my grandmother gave my mother before she died. The ones with the real diamonds. After the birthday party they disappeared. I've searched everywhere." Catherine put her hand over her heart. She started breathing heavily. "Oh, Rebecca darling. Those were family heirlooms. Your grandmother wore them on her wedding day. This is horrible." "I know, Mom," Rebecca said. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "I am heartbroken. I've been hoping they would turn up. But now I need to know the truth." Then she turned and looked straight at me. My blood went cold. "Mom Margaret," she said softly, "can I ask you something? Please do not take this the wrong way. Do you remember anything strange during the party? Did you see anyone go into my bedroom?" I felt my throat tighten. "Rebecca, what are you saying?" "I'm just asking if you noticed anyone walking down the hallway. You stayed inside while everyone else went to see the fireworks. Maybe you saw something." Daniel looked at me. Everyone's eyes were on me. "I did not see anything, Rebecca," I said. My voice shook. "I sat in the living room the whole time. I never moved." "Are you absolutely sure?" she pressed. "Absolutely sure." The air grew thick, heavy, like I could not breathe. Catherine broke the silence. "Rebecca darling, if the earrings still have not been found, perhaps we should check. Just to be certain." Daniel looked confused. "Check what?" Rebecca bit her lip. More tears fell. "Hate to do this. But maybe we should check everyone's bags. Just to rule everything out." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean check bags?" "Just to be sure, Mom Margaret," Rebecca said. "Please do not take it personally. Maybe someone picked them up by mistake." Daniel shook his head. "Rebecca, that is crazy. My mother would never." "I know, honey," Rebecca said, crying harder. "But I need peace of mind. I need to know I did everything possible to find my grandmother's earrings." Now she was sobbing. Real sobs, or fake ones. I could not tell anymore. I looked at Daniel, waiting, praying he would defend me. Tell them this was ridiculous. That his mother would never steal anything. But he just stood there, silent. "Fine," I said. My voice was cold as ice. "Go ahead and check." Rebecca walked to the bedroom. She came back holding my black leather handbag, the one she had taken from me when I arrived. She held it like it was evidence at a crime scene. She placed it on the dining table. unzipped it slowly, started searching through it. My heart pounded so loud I thought everyone could hear it. She pulled out my wallet, my old flip phone, pack of tissues, my house keys, a small bottle of pain medicine for my arthritis. Then she stopped. Her fingers touched something at the bottom of the bag. She pulled it out slowly. Something small and shiny. It sparkled under the dining room light. Diamond earrings. Beautiful. Expensive looking. Real diamonds catching the light like tiny stars. Oh my God, Catherine gasped. She jumped up from her chair. Daniel's face went white. His mouth fell open. Rebecca's sisters looked at each other with wide eyes. Rebecca stared at the earrings in her hand. Then she looked at me with tears streaming down her face. Mom Margaret, she whispered. Wait, why would you do this? The world stopped. Everything went silent. I could not breathe. Could not think. I stared at those diamond earrings glittering in her hand. And my mind went completely blank. That is impossible, I said. My voice barely worked. Those were not in my bag. Catherine's voice was sharp and loud. I cannot believe this, Rebecca. My poor child. She stepped closer to her daughter. I did not want to believe it either, Mom, Rebecca sobbed. She held the earrings against her chest, like they were the most precious thing in the world. Daniel stood frozen, staring at me like I was a complete stranger, like he had never seen me before. Son, I said. My voice broke. I did not take those. I swear to God. I do not know how they got into my bag. Mom, his voice cracked. How could you? Why would you do this? I did not do anything, I shouted. Someone put them in my bag. Someone is setting me up. Rebecca's sister Emma stepped back. Sarah whispered something to her, but I could not hear. Catherine crossed her arms and glared at me. Setting you up, Catherine said with a harsh laugh. Margaret, who would do that? And why? I looked directly at Rebecca. Straight into her eyes. For just 1 second, one tiny moment, I saw it. That flash of victory. That small satisfied smile hiding behind her tears. She had done this. She planned the whole thing. She planted those earrings in my bag. But how could I prove it? I had no evidence. No witnesses. Nothing. Daniel, I said, turning to my son. Look at me. Please. I raised you alone. I worked 28 years to give you everything. Do you really think I would steal? He put his hands over his face. His voice was muffled and broken. Mom, I do not know what to believe anymore. The earrings were in your bag. Right there. 'Cause someone put them there, I said desperately. Who would do that, Mom? His shout echoed through the room. In 34 years he had never raised his voice at me like that. Never. The sound cut through me like a blade. Rebecca pretended to cry even harder. Her whole body shook. Honey, please, she said to Daniel. Please stop yelling. This is breaking my heart. She moved closer to him. Put her hand on his arm. He pulled her into a tight hug. Held her like she was fragile. Like she was the victim. I watched my son hold that lying woman. The woman who had destroyed our relationship. Who had manipulated him. Who had torn our family apart. Something inside me shattered. Not from pain. Not from the injustice. But from pure humiliation. The humiliation of standing in the apartment I bought with my own money. Being accused of theft. Being looked at with disgust by people who knew nothing about my life. Nothing about my sacrifices. Catherine crossed her arms. Her voice was smug and superior. Margaret, I think you owe my daughter an apology. It is the least you can do after what you have done. Apologize. For something I did not do. To the woman who destroyed my relationship with my son. I will not apologize, I said quietly. But my voice was firm. 'Cause I did nothing wrong. Enough, Mom, Daniel snapped. His face was red. Can you not see what you have done? The earrings were in your bag. Just apologize and we can move past this. Well, why not? No, Daniel. I will not humiliate myself for something I did not do. His breathing got heavier. Faster. The veins in his neck bulged. Rebecca buried her face in his shoulder, crying like her world was ending. Then Daniel said words I will never forget for the rest of my life. Words that changed everything between us forever. Mom, he said slowly and coldly, apologize to Catherine right now. Or leave my house. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. I looked at the man standing in front of me. The baby I held in my arms when he was born. The child I fed in the middle of the night. The boy I comforted when his father died. The teenager I worked 3 jobs to support. The young man I gave my entire life savings to. Now he was a stranger. A stranger throwing his mother out of the house she bought for him. Leave your house, I repeated. My voice was eerily calm. Your house, Daniel. He realized what he said. His face changed for a second. Mom, I did not mean it like that. I just meant. I understand perfectly, I said, cutting him off. I picked up my black leather handbag from the table. The bag that held the planted evidence. I looked at Rebecca one more time. She was still in Daniel's arms. But when our eyes met, I saw it again. That victorious smile. That look of triumph. I stepped closer. Daniel tried to block me, but I walked past him. I stood right in front of Rebecca and stared into her eyes. You will regret this, I said. Each word slow, clear, cold as winter. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her face went pale. I turned and walked to the door. No one tried to stop me. No one called my name. No one said wait. Opened the door. Stepped out into the hallway. And closed it quietly behind me. I did not take the elevator. I walked down 4 flights of stairs. My legs were shaking, but I kept walking. I needed time before anyone saw my face. Before anyone saw me break. On the bus going home, I held onto the metal pole. My whole body trembled. The tears finally came. Hot and heavy. They poured down my face. I could not stop them. An elderly woman sitting near me touched my arm gently. Are you all right, dear? I nodded and lied. Just allergies. But I was not all right. My heart felt like it had been ripped out of my chest. Not just because of the humiliation, but because my own son chose to believe her lies instead of trusting his mother. He threw me out. Out of the house I bought. Out of his life. As the bus moved through the city streets, something changed inside me. The pain was still there, deep and raw. But underneath it something else grew. Anger. Pure burning anger. I whispered to myself in that nearly empty bus. I will not let this stand. I will not let that woman destroy me without consequences. I will fight back. I did not know it yet, but in exactly 2 weeks Daniel would be standing at my door. Broken. Desperate. Begging for help. And when that day came, I would remember these moments. Every single one. If you are still with me, stay close. 'Cause what happens next will shock you. I cried for 4 days straight. Locked in my tiny apartment. I did not eat. Did not shower. Did not answer my phone. I just lay on my thin mattress staring at the ceiling. The same cracked ceiling I had stared at for 20 years. The tears came in waves. Sometimes soft and quiet. Sometimes violent sobs that shook my whole body. I cried for everything I had lost. For the son who betrayed me. For the 28 years of sacrifice that meant nothing. For the $305,000 I gave away. For the dignity that was stolen from me. But on the 5th morning something changed. I woke up feeling different. The sadness was still there. But underneath it burned something stronger. Anger. Clear, sharp, focused anger. Got up. Took a long shower. Put on clean clothes. Made myself coffee and toast. Then I went to my closet and pulled out an old cardboard box from the top shelf. Inside was a thick folder. The folder I had been keeping for years. I spread everything out on my kitchen table. Every receipt. Every bank statement. Every document that proved what I had given Daniel. The proof of 28 years of my life. $187,000 for his college education. Receipts for every semester. Every textbook. Every fee. $58,000 for his wedding. Invoices from the venue. The caterer. The florist. The photographer. Everything. And most importantly, the purchase contract for the condo. $305,000. Originally in my name. then transferred to Daniel as a gift in 2012. A gift. That word tasted bitter in my mouth now. If I had invested that money instead of giving it away, I would have over $550,000 today. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. Instead, I had nothing. And the son I gave it all to had thrown me out like garbage. I organized everything carefully. Education expenses in one pile. Wedding costs in another. The property purchase in a third pile. I put each section in a clear plastic folder. Then I got dressed in my best outfit and left my apartment. I went downtown to see a lawyer. His office was in an old building on the 4th floor. The elevator was broken, so I climbed the stairs. My knees hurt, but I kept going. The secretary at the front desk looked me up and down, judging my simple clothes, my worn shoes, my old purse. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked. Her tone was cold. "No," I said. "But I need to speak with a lawyer. It is urgent. I can pay for a consultation." She sighed like I was bothering her. "Let me check if anyone is available." 10 minutes later, I was sitting in a small office across from a man named George Parker. He was in his 50s. Balding. Glasses. Loose tie. He looked tired. "You have 15 minutes, he said. "What do you need?" I put the folder on his desk. Then I told him everything. I did not cry. Did not beg. Just stated the facts. I told him about the money I gave my son. About being accused of theft. About being thrown out of my own house. I asked if I had any legal options. George flipped through my documents. He stopped at the property contract. Studied it carefully. "When was this transfer completed?" he asked. 2012. "Did you include a revocation clause in case of ingratitude?" "What?" He took off his glasses and looked at me with something like pity. "Mrs. Margaret, when you gift property to someone, you can include a legal clause that allows you to take it back if they show serious disrespect or fail to support you when needed. But this contract does not have that clause." My heart sank. "So I have lost everything." "Not necessarily," George said. "There is a legal principle called revocation of a gift due to gross ingratitude. If your son committed serious acts of disrespect, a court might allow you to reverse the gift. But you would need strong evidence." "I was thrown out of the house and accused of theft in front of witnesses," I said. "Is that not enough?" "Might be," he nodded. "But you will need documentation. Witnesses willing to testify. Proof of what happened. And it will be expensive. Legal fees would start around $7,000. The case could take a year or more." I left his office feeling defeated. Even if I was right, I did not have the money to fight. Or the energy. But as I walked down the busy sidewalk, my eyes caught something. Small sign in a window. Harris Private Investigations. Confidential Services. Something clicked in my mind. I walked in. A man in his 40s sat at a desk. Shirt sleeves rolled up. Coffee cup beside his computer. "What can I help you with?" he asked. "I need information on someone," I said. "My daughter-in-law. I need to know everything about her. Her finances, her debts, her secrets, anything you can find." He grabbed a notepad. Full name. Rebecca Sanders. I gave him her social security number, her address, her birth date, everything I knew. "Full background check will cost $1,100, he said. "Results in 1 week." It was almost all the money I had left. But I agreed. I paid him $550 up front. The rest when he delivered the report. I walked out of that office with only one thought. If Rebecca was cruel enough to frame me for theft, she had to have secrets. Dirty secrets. And every liar leaves a trail. I just needed to find it. The next week felt like the longest of my life. Every hour dragged. Every day felt like a year. Could not sleep. Could not focus. Every time the phone rang, my heart jumped. I tried to keep busy. I took on sewing jobs I had turned down before. Not for the money. Just to keep my hands occupied. To keep my mind from breaking. But every time I stopped working, the memories came flooding back. Daniel's voice yelling at me. Rebecca's fake tears. Catherine's smug face. The humiliation burning in my chest. On the 6th day my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Margaret, a man's voice said. This is James Harris, the investigator. Your report is ready. My heart nearly exploded. Did you find anything? Lot, he said. Can you come to my office? 3 hours later I was sitting across from James. A thick manila envelope sat on the desk between us. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside were 18 pages. Bank statements, credit card records, purchase receipts, background information, everything. James leaned forward and started explaining as I flipped through the pages. Your daughter-in-law has serious financial problems, he said. She has 5 credit cards. All of them are maxed out. Total debt is $47,250. My eyes widened. She has been paying only the minimum balance for the past 10 months, James continued. The interest is piling up fast. Most of her purchases are luxury items. Designer handbags, expensive restaurants, high-end clothing stores, spa treatments. Her spending regularly exceeds your son's monthly salary. And she has no income of her own. Kept reading. There were copies of receipts. $2,100 for a handbag. $1,650 for a dinner at a fancy restaurant. $870 for shoes. Page after page of reckless spending. Now here's something interesting, James said. He turned to another page. Remember those diamond earrings she accused you of stealing? The family heirlooms. Yes, I said. My throat felt tight. I traced them, James said. She bought them at a consignment jewelry store on the north side. 3 weeks before her birthday party. Paid $820. Then she lied and said they were her grandmother's. Said they were appraised at $8,000. I stared at him in shock. She bought them herself. Exactly, James nodded. And here is another thing. Her mother Catherine is alive and well. Catherine Smith, age 61. Retired government employee. I found social media posts where Catherine complains about having to lend Rebecca money. Their relationship is strained. Everything was a lie, I whispered. The whole story. She made it all up. James flipped to another section. This is your son's bank account. Joint account with Rebecca. 2 months ago there was a large deposit. $31,500. Your son's savings. Then look at these withdrawals. He pointed to a list of transactions. Cash withdrawals from ATMs. $4,500. $3,200. $2,800. $5,100. All within 6 weeks. She is draining his account, James said. Probably using the cash to pay her credit card minimums without him knowing. But it is not enough. The debt keeps growing. I stared at the numbers. My hands trembled. Everything made sense now. Rebecca did not just want to remove me from Daniel's life. She was also destroying him financially. Slowly, carefully. Can I keep this report? I asked. It is yours, James said. You paid for it. I walked out of that office clutching the folder to my chest. For the first time in 2 weeks I felt something other than despair. Felt hope. Small but real. But I was not going to confront Rebecca. Not yet. If she had taught me anything, it was that quiet revenge cuts deeper than loud confrontation. The next morning I went back to George Parker, the lawyer. I handed him the investigation report. He read through it carefully. Adjusted his glasses several times. Raised his eyebrows at certain pages. With this evidence you have a very strong case, George said finally. We can file to reclaim the condo based on proven ingratitude. We can also send a formal legal notice to your son informing him of his wife's financial deception. How much will it cost? I asked. Given what you have already prepared, I can take the case for $4,500. Half now. Half when we win. I only had $1,800 left in my savings. Can I pay in installments? George thought for a moment. All right. Pay what you can now. The rest over 4 months. But understand that lawsuits take time. Understand, I said. I want to do this. I need to do this. That afternoon I signed the retainer agreement. George drafted a formal legal notice demanding either the return of the condo or payment of its full current value based on Daniel's severe ingratitude. He attached all my receipts and bank transfers showing that I funded everything. The notice will be delivered to your son's workplace by a legal courier, George said. As for Rebecca's debts, I suggest you show him that report yourself. In person. Let him see with his own eyes what kind of woman he married. I agreed. 4 days later the legal notice was delivered. Then I waited. I waited with the patience I had learned from 28 years of waking up at 5 in the morning to work. I knew that once Daniel saw those documents, once a lawyer explained the legal consequences, he would have no choice but to face reality. Not as the son who threw out his mother, but as the man who made a terrible mistake. 12 days passed after the delivery. 12 days of complete silence. I did not call, did not text, did not visit. I just kept living, sewing, paying bills, eating simple meals, sleeping very little. But I felt different now. I had taken action. I had stood up for myself. And that alone gave me a strength I thought I had lost. A dignity I thought was gone forever. On the 13th night, around 9:30, there was frantic pounding on my apartment door. Not polite knocking. Desperate hammering. Mom, please. Open the door. Please. Froze. It was Daniel's voice. But not the cold, distant voice of the man who threw me out. This was a broken voice. Shaking. Panic. Desperate. I went to the door and opened it slowly. Daniel stood in the dim hallway. His shirt was wrinkled and untucked. His hair was messy. His eyes were red and swollen like he had been crying for hours. He looked like he had not slept in days. What happened? I asked. My voice was calm but my heart was racing. He stumbled forward and collapsed into my arms. His whole body shook with sobs. Like a child. Like the little boy he used to be. Mom, he cried. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please. Close the door behind us. Part of me wanted to push him away. To make him feel the pain he caused me. But another part of me, the mother in me, could not do it. Calm down, I said. I helped him sit in my old armchair. I poured him a glass of water. He drank it in one gulp. Then he started talking. The words poured out between sobs. She's gone, Mom. Who left? Who left? I asked. Though I already knew. Rebecca, he said. His voice cracked. She's gone. Took everything. My chest tightened. What do you mean everything? Everything, Mom, Daniel said. He wiped his face with his sleeve. I woke up yesterday morning and she was not home. Thought she went shopping. But when I came back from work last night, the house was empty. All her clothes gone. Her jewelry. Her makeup. Everything. Like she never lived there. I stayed silent. Listening. And she drained our bank account, Daniel continued. His voice filled with anger and pain. She took $19,800. Everything we had saved. He put his face in his hands. She left a note. 1 page. It said she could not live with a weak man anymore. A man who let his mother control his life. She said I was pathetic. That she deserved better. A real man who knew how to set boundaries. Daniel looked up at me. His eyes were bloodshot. But that was not the worst part, Mom. Last week we had a huge fight. She got a bill in the mail. A credit card bill for $9,500. I did not even know she had that card. When I confronted her about it, she finally told me the truth. What truth? I asked quietly. About the earrings, Daniel said. His voice broke completely. She admitted she bought them herself at some jewelry store. She planted them in your bag during her birthday party. The whole thing was planned. She wanted to turn me against you. She wanted you out of our lives completely. I felt my whole body go numb. Daniel went on. She said she did it because there was no room for you in the life she wanted. She said if I was a real man I would have cut you off years ago. That mothers like you are toxic and controlling. He lowered his head. Tears dripped onto his lap. Mom, I am the worst son in the world. I believed her. I accused you. I threw you out of your own house. And now I have lost everything. My mother. My money. My dignity. We sat in silence for a long moment. I looked at the broken man in front of me. The son I raised. The baby I once held. The boy I sacrificed everything for. There is one more thing, Daniel whispered. Today I got a letter. From your lawyer. About the lawsuit. To reclaim the condo. He looked at me. His face full of shame and fear. I cannot even be mad at you, Mom. You have every right. I was horrible to you. Blind. Cruel. Stupid. The room felt heavy. Mom, he said, I do not have money to repay you. Rebecca took almost everything. And there is $15,500 in credit card debt in my name because I co-signed for her. I know you can take the condo. I know I deserve it. But please, he begged, please give me a chance to make this right somehow. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. I saw the man he had become and the boy he used to be. I saw both the person who hurt me and the child I loved more than life itself. Daniel, I said slowly. My voice was firm but not harsh. Love you. I always will. But love without respect means nothing. You hurt me in the worst possible way. You accused me of being a thief. You threw me out. You believed a liar instead of your own mother. He put his head down. I know, Mom. I will carry that guilt for the rest of my life. Good, I said softly. Because you need to learn that trust must be earned. That family cannot be replaced. That dignity always comes with a price. Daniel looked up. His eyes full of both fear and hope. Mom, will you ever forgive me? I took a deep breath. Let me get something first. I went to my bedroom closet and pulled out the folder. The one I had shown the lawyer. I brought it back and placed it on the coffee table in front of Daniel. Open it, I said. His hands shook as he opened the folder. He turned each page slowly. I watched his face change as he read. His eyes grew wider. His mouth fell open. Page after page of receipts and bank statements and proof. Mom, he whispered, I did not know it was this much. Did not know or did not want to know, I asked. He said nothing. $187,000 for your education, I said. $58,000 for your wedding. $305,000 for the condo. That is $550,000, Daniel. Not counting all the years I fed you, clothed you, raised you alone after your father died. Do you understand what that means? He nodded slowly, tears running down his face. I'm selfish, Mom. I'm so selfish. Yes, I said. But selfishness can be cured. Do you know how? He looked at me waiting. Through humility, I said. Through hard work. Through facing real consequences. Here is what is going to happen, Daniel. You are going to sell the condo. His face went pale. Sell it. Sell it. Use the money to pay off all the debts Rebecca left. The credit cards. Everything. With what is left you will buy a smaller place. Something you can actually afford on your real salary. Not the fantasy life you and she were living. But Mom, he started. I raised my hand. I am not finished. You will do this on your own. No money from me. No help from me. No co-signing. Nothing. You need to learn to live within your means. To build your own life with your own work. Not with what I built for you. Daniel swallowed hard. And what about us? About our relationship? I looked him straight in the eyes. When you have done all of that, when you have cleaned up your mess and learned to stand on your own feet, then we can rebuild our relationship. But it will be different this time. Built on real respect. Not just love. Respect. But Mom, he said quietly, if I sell the condo and pay everything off, I will not have much left. I will have to move farther out. A much smaller place. Welcome to the life I lived for 28 years, I said. He went quiet. Completely quiet. One more thing, I said. I will withdraw the lawsuit. I will not force you through court. But you will sell the condo voluntarily. And you will use that money to fix what you destroyed. This is not revenge, Daniel. This is justice. This is you learning that actions have consequences. Daniel took a deep breath. He nodded slowly. Agree. Accept everything. I deserve the consequences. It is not about what you deserve, I said. It is about what you learn. He stood up and hugged me. Real hug. Tight and sincere. Thank you, Mom, he whispered. Thank you for not giving up on me even when I did not deserve it. I hugged him back. But my voice stayed firm. Now go home. Tomorrow you start fixing your life. You can call me if you need advice. But not for money. I am not your safety net anymore. You are a grown man with a career. Like it. He nodded. Wiped his face. Started to leave. At the door he turned back. Mom, what about Rebecca? Should I try to find her? Call the police. Thought for a moment. Well, let her go. People like her carry their own poison. Eventually it destroys them from the inside. When that happens, I will not be there to save her. Daniel nodded and left. Closed the door. Leaned against it. And cried. But this time the tears were different. They were not from pain or humiliation. They were from release. From freedom. For the first time in years I had put myself first. I demanded respect. I set boundaries. And no one could take that away from me. 8 months passed. Daniel sold the condo for $362,000. After paying off $15,500 in credit card debt, $7,800 remaining on the car loan, taxes and agent fees, he had about $275,000 left. He used that as a down payment on a small 2-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood outside the city. Every Sunday he came to visit me. He brought fresh bread from the bakery, brewed coffee, and we talked, really talked, deep conversations about life and mistakes and new beginnings. I watched my son transform. He learned to cook his own meals because no one else would do it for him. He learned to wash his clothes, iron his shirts, clean his home, budget his money. He learned humility, something his comfortable life never taught him. As for me, I still lived in my old apartment. Still took sewing jobs, but I felt lighter, freer, because I no longer had to save anyone. I only had to take care of myself. One Sunday afternoon over coffee, Daniel reached across the table and took my hand. Mom, he said, I want to thank you. For what? I asked. For teaching me the hardest but most important lesson of my life, he said. His eyes got wet. I could have lost you forever. But you gave me a chance to make things right. You did not protect me from my mistakes. You let me face them. And that saved me. I smiled gently. That is what real mothers do. We do not shelter our children from pain. We teach them how to stand up after they fall. He nodded. I will never disrespect you again, Mom. Promise. Do not promise that, I said softly. Just promise you will always respect me. The rest we will build together. And we did. Slowly. Carefully. With honesty. Now when I look back, I regret nothing. Not the sacrifices. Not the pain. Because everything taught me the truth. Dignity cannot be bought. Respect cannot be begged for. And real love is not about accepting every hurt. It is about knowing when to say enough. My story does not have a perfect ending. But it has a real one. Daniel and I rebuilt our relationship on truth and respect. He is a better man now. And I am a stronger woman. If my story made you think about your own life, about someone who hurt you, or about boundaries you need to set, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to demand respect from someone you love? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might give courage to someone who needs it today. And if you believe that every painful experience is a lesson that makes us stronger, stay with me. Because we all deserve to be treated with dignity. And we all have the power to stand up for ourselves. No matter how old we are. No matter how late it seems. Remember this. It is never too late to choose yourself. It is never too late to demand respect. And it is never too late to say enough is enough. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Your time matters. And so does your story.